I've always been captivated by the way light moves through a home, how it shifts and changes with the hours of the day. There's something mesmerizing about how the light doesn't just illuminate a space, it transforms it, breathing life into every corner. The first night we spent here, I lay in bed, wide awake with anticipation, eager for the dawn to arrive. I was already dreaming of the light I knew would fill this house in the morning. When the sun finally rose, its delicate glow was unlike anything I had ever experienced before. It wasn't just light. It felt like the entire house was stretching, sighing with the new day, almost as though it too had been waiting for the dawn. There was an overwhelming sense of calm that swept over me, a quiet assurance that everything was as it should be. The soft rays gently poured through the windows, reaching every corner of the room and inviting me into the world with a peaceful embrace. As the hours of the day unfurled, I found myself moving from one room to another, not with any particular goal in mind, but simply to watch how the sunlight changed the spaces around me. It was like stepping into a different world each time I entered a new room, as if the house was wearing a new face with every passing moment. One room might glow warm and golden in the late morning, while another would be filled with cool, soft shadows in the afternoon. The transformation was subtle, but it was constant, and I couldn't help but marvel at it. I found so much joy in those quiet moments of watching how the light worked its magic, how it could turn even the most familiar space into something new and alive. It was as though the house had a soul, a personality that unfolded with the rhythm of the day. Now, in winter, I'm rediscovering that same sense of wonder, though the light feels different in this colder season. The air has a certain stillness to it, and the light, too, has taken on a more muted, reflective quality. This morning, as I pulled myself from bed, I saw the first rays of sun creeping through the windows, soft and silvery. The light bathed the rooms in a quiet glow, as if everything had been wrapped in a delicate veil. It wasn't the warm, golden light of summer, but something more serene, more introspective. The walls, still and waiting, seemed to glow with an almost frosty clarity, casting shadows that were crisp and defined. The whole house felt hushed, as if the world outside had fallen into a deep, peaceful sleep beneath the weight of winter, and inside, we were left with this perfect moment of stillness. I couldn't help but pause for a while, just taking it all in. It felt as if time had slowed, and there was no rush to move forward. As the sun rose higher, its warmth gradually began to seep into the kitchen, filling the room with a gentle heat. The countertops, which had felt cold under my fingertips just moments before, seemed to come alive in the light. The soft gleam of the surface shimmered as I rinsed the dishes, and for a moment, it seemed as if the water itself sparkled, woven with tiny threads of gold. I lingered there longer than necessary, reluctant to let go of that moment, savoring the simple beauty of the scene. The world outside may have been cold and gray, but inside, the house was filled with a quiet radiance, and I felt that sense of peace seep deep into my bones. But the rhythm of the day inevitably calls, and I moved on to change the laundry. As I passed through the hall, the sunlight caught the etched glass in the French doors, the intricate patterns casting delicate shadows that danced across the walls. Each line and curve in the glass seemed to catch the light in a different way, scattering tiny prisms of color like fragments of rainbows that flickered and shifted with the movement of the day. It was like watching magic unfold right before me, little bursts of color that flickered and danced in the quiet of the morning. I stopped for a moment, caught up in the play of the light, feeling a deep sense of wonder. It's funny how something as simple as sunlight can feel so precious, so fleeting, and so full of beauty. It's a reminder that the ordinary moments, the quiet ones, the still ones, are often the most meaningful. It's still early, just 8 a.m., but already I feel as though I've experienced something profound today. Winter light, with its cool elegance and softness, has a way of making everything feel sacred. It's a reminder to slow down, to pay attention to the small things, to notice the magic that's there if you take time to look. The day ahead is full of possibilities, but for now, I want to stay in this quiet moment. I want to stay wrapped in the stillness, letting the soft glow of the morning fill me with a sense of peace that only these early hours can bring. This light, this moment, feels like a gift, a small, simple but incredibly precious one. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of His hands. Welcome back, ladies. Today we are talking about nightwear and just the organization that I have for it right now, and just also some pieces that I don't currently use, how I store those, and what has been working for me, especially in this time of the year. So I've had videos in the past where I do share nightwear, and I think that it's one of those things that unfortunately so many of us result to just wearing our worst pieces because they're most comfortable. But I disagree with that. I don't think that, what I once thought was most comfortable was actually most comfortable to me. And there was a point in time where I decided that I wanted to mature. I wanted to just really embrace a very ladylike essence and look, and that was going to begin with my nightwear. It was one of those things that I didn't have to worry about, what was anybody going to think of me or anything like that, especially when I was transitioning into the kind of attire that I would be wearing. So this is where I began, and it changed everything for me. So if you are looking to begin your journey with dressing more ladylike and everything, I would encourage you to first focus on your nightwear. Get rid of all of those pieces that are just, how would you want to put it, less than par, that don't make you feel great, and start with even just one set that is like a set. When you wear a set, it's almost like you feel so pulled together, right? Kind of like when you have an outfit that looks good, or even a dress, that you feel your best. So why not feel that way even when you're at home? So I believe that that is one of the best places to begin, especially in a journey of feeling more mature, more ladylike, more pulled together. Begin with your nightwear. So I will share with you some of my favorite things and why, but first I wanted to also show you some of the two dresses that I got that were different colors. So this is one of them, and I just got done washing them. I like to wash them right when I get them. I actually washed them together. I washed the other ones separate, but anyway, I think that these colors look beautiful. They're pretty much as described and what they looked like online. and I just know that they will be also my go-to pieces because I've enjoyed that dress so much that I shared with you in my last video. So this dress right here, this pink one, which is also a faux wrap, just like that dress, but it has the sash attached to it. So one of the things that I do is I tie it like to the front, to the back, or was it to the back, to the front, and then to the back, because it's really long sashes. And then I just kind of knot it in the back. But this is a pretty loose cardigan here. I found this one at Ross, but it had tortoiseshell buttons on it, and many of you know how much I dislike tortoiseshell buttons. So I found these when I was at Joann Fabrics, and they're just pearl clusters. And this morning my daughter switched all 4 of the buttons, and I love it now. Sometimes that's all that you have to do. So while I talked about, you know, looking for beautiful buttons when I would search for cardigans, I also don't completely dismiss a cardigan just because of the buttons. Because if it's something that I can change out, maybe I will, if I really like the cardigan. Like what I liked about this, the pointelle design of this one was really beautiful to me. It's a cream color, and I just, again, love the V-neck style of it, and I just think that it's beautiful. Now I put the pink dress under this because I wanted to be able to see the design, and I mean, you could layer it with a cream dress too, but I just really wanted it to stand out a little bit more. So I just wore this to worship service today. Of course, I had my tan or creamy trench coat on over it, but it's a slightly different color than this. So anyway, to me, all of the colors were pretty cohesive. But let's go into my dressing room, where I will share with you my nightwear, and then also where I'm storing the pieces that I'm not currently wearing, like within a week. Now these pieces are still drying, but I did want to show you what this looks like. So I'm going to put this in here so you can see the colors and the differences and just how I'm working it in. So let me just show it to you like that. See? I would say it's very similar to this green. It's a little bit more subdued, which is perfect to me around this time of year. This is, maybe it's a slightly darker shade of dusty blue than I thought, but I think that it's still beautiful and looks really good with the whole color story that I'm going with here, just these subdued pastel colors. So let's talk about nightwear, shall we? I always have a beautiful piece hanging outside of my wardrobe, but I have found that shopping vintage, especially on Poshmark, has been one of the great things about finding these beautiful sets, and I am just a lover of sets. Now, it hasn't kept me from purchasing different pieces that maybe I just like the way that it is alone, even if there wasn't a set to it. But how can you go wrong with a set, right? Now, I do look for certain things, and there are some things that, you know, it's like they don't check all the boxes, but that's okay because there may be something about it that I really love. So there are just times where I just want to wear like a sack, and that's what this is right here. But I still feel beautiful in it because obviously the nylon, what it's made out of. Now I know a lot of you don't like nylon, but that's okay. We all have those things that we don't care for, and we're all entitled to be able to like what we do. So that's something that I do love. I love the vintage feel of the nylon from like back in the 50s, 60s, 70s era. So Anyway, this really spoke to me, especially the color, but the lace on it, and of course that it was a set. Now, one of the things about this set is that the cuff is just a loose cuff, so I actually prefer ones that are fitted so that I can, like if I'm doing dishes or something, you know, just it's just not hanging in things. So there are certain times where I will wear this around the house, but not to do certain tasks. And then another set that I wanted to share with you was this beautiful set right here. This is very muted lavender. And the great thing about this is that you can wear it where it's pretty low in the front, or I've also turned it around so that like I wouldn't have to worry about, you know, cleavage showing or anything like that if I was going to be out and about in the house. And then this portion right here is just so pretty. The fabric covered buttons that match this is just really beautiful. And just all around, it's a bit different because it's very loose in the back. It's almost like cape style in a way. Ooh, and the pocket's sticking out here. Oh yes, and another thing is that a lot of the dressing gowns that I have, they have pockets in them, and that is always a plus in my opinion. Well, I'll put that away later. But just the lace detail on it, always something that I'm looking for when I am looking for a beautiful set. Now I have a lot of different sets in here. This one is another favorite. You know, when you come across these ones that have such beautiful detail, checks a lot of the boxes that you have, like the pockets for instance. I really like the way that this is straight across. I think that that is just really nice. Just the overall fit of this one is beautiful, and then with the cuff like that so that I can pull it up if I want to. Now this one is not part of a set, but it is really beautiful. Look at the flowers, the mini flowers on this. Just so delicate, beautiful. This is by Miss Elaine. I should have been sharing with you the brands, but once again, has the cuff. I think these ones are more of like 60s, 70s era. Maybe that's what I'm really drawn to when it comes to dressing gowns and nightgowns. But you know, it's actually like a mix of different things. This one was a beautiful one as well. And it's not the same, it's not part of a set, but they do match. So this is an Olga nightgown, and this one is a I think this is Miss Elaine. Yeah, this is Miss Elaine too, and that is really beautiful. Now this one is a petite, so it doesn't sit exactly how I would feel it should, but I make it work. We make things work sometimes because we love it so much. And then this one, yes, this is definitely a favorite of mine as well. So I just love how delicate this blush is. Very, very light. And I mean, it's just very bridal in my opinion. And then the lace on it, the cuffs are beautiful, just all of it. I really do love this one as well. But like I said, I have a lot of them that I really love. So what I like to do is I will pull out a few that really speak to me that, you know, I want to wear for the week. And I will just put them out. Sometimes I don't even wear all of them. Sometimes I put a few more out than would fit in a week because, you know, it just depends on how I'm feeling in the moment. This one was a beautiful one. I just loved the way, I mean, this fits so beautifully, and it's a cap sleeve and just, again, so beautiful. So I wanted to share with you though, before I share the storage of the others, that this was my inspiration piece for the apron that I'm having my daughter make. So she's been making aprons, and we have found some really beautiful fabric, and I wanted something that would cover a flare dress. So it does flare and it goes around to the back. Now, it's not going to cross every lady, right? It just depends what size you are. However, one thing that is pretty much guaranteed is that it will cover the entirety of the front of your dress and the side of your dress, most likely. So I would have to say that of all the aprons, and I get questions a lot about how come I don't always wear an apron, and well, because sometimes I feel like it and sometimes I don't. And there have always been things that bother me about aprons. Now, I love wearing aprons. However, there are things that bother me about them. So for instance, the way that it's cut to where you can still see the sides of your dress and everything, I don't know. I just always feel like it just doesn't cover enough. And I know that there are several different styles of aprons, but once I started getting into the business of, making aprons, having them made for me so that I could sell them, it was just something that I never addressed. Now, we did go longer with them, which was really nice, but there were just some things that I didn't like, and I have addressed those things now, and my daughter was willing to help me in creating them, and so I'm just so grateful for that. And I hope that once we have a few made up and that we're ready to sell, that those of you that just love them, that you will be so happy with the ones that you purchase. Now this, as I said, was the inspiration piece. I wanted something a little different, but that was vintage inspired and that had a beautiful, beautiful fit, and the way that it would lay, almost like you didn't feel like you were wearing an apron, even though you were. So, especially for that lady that loves to host, and sometimes you just have your apron on and you get caught up in doing all of the things, and how many times have you answered the door with your apron on? And if you had a style, right, that was more like a skirt, which is what this is, then it doesn't look as odd, I would say. And so that's the route that I went with that one. Now, of course, it's these ones that we have been making are all creamy, light pinks, whites, stuff like that, but they're beautiful. And I'm going to share with you just some looks of what they look like thus far. We've done some different designs, different things that we may be going with or not, but we've settled on pretty much what we really like, which are inseam pockets, because before we did have one, like the one that I put in my community tab that had the pockets on the front, but I prefer inseam pockets because that's one of the things I don't like about a lot of aprons that I see, are the pockets that show, right? So for it to just have more of that wrap style skirt, and then the scalloped edging on the bottom, I've just always loved about this nightgown right here. And that definitely inspired me when it came to the design of the new apron. And then of course this had some lace on the bottom of it. Man, they just don't make lace like they used to. I have to say that. This, I just love how delicate the lace is on this bottom portion. I don't know if you can see it, but it is so beautiful. And we went with some lace on the bottom of this apron, and I think that it's so much better than that thicker ruffle that I was having her make before. And I just think it covers a multitude of sins as well when it comes to, just the whole creation and design of it, especially for a newer seamstress like herself. And I just think so many of you will love them if you purchase it. and I just hope you love it as much as I do. So we started out and I should put this away. We started out with using flannel as the apron. I wanted something that would be perfect for fall and winter, even though the colors were, you know, very, very light, very delicate with the roses and the pinks and the taupe or tan, whatever you want to call it. And then I found a cotton set that really looks good with it as well. It's very similar in design, and that one would be more for spring and summer. So I will show those to you, but first let me share with you my storage for the nightwear that I'm not currently displaying or having to choose from for each week. I have shared before that these IKEA wardrobes that we have just been so amazing when it comes to organization. And I would encourage anyone who needed a solution for their closet to look into something like this. Or even if you don't have a closet, it makes its own closet. But I like to have something like this in our dressing room because I prefer when I walk into my dressing room not to see a lot of different clothes, you know, and when you have a lot of different colors going on and everything, it's just a little bit more overwhelming to me. So things behind cabinet doors, closet doors, that's more my cup of tea. So anyway, this side right here, this is for my dresses, and I shared that last week with you. Shared that last week. This side is for my nightgowns at this point and all of my dressing gowns. And as you can see, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I just have 12 hanging here right now. But right down here, this is where I have and where I've decided to store the ones that I would be changing out. And so this made the most sense to me. I don't know why I was doing it the other way before, maybe because that's just how I always had them and, you know, the way that I was laying them in there. Anyway, now I have them in these boxes, which for a time I was storing dresses in here. So I've basically split them up according to colors. So I have my purples and my teals and blues, and just, to me, that's beautiful. Beautiful colors. And that's one set. And then I have more of the pinks and creams and whites and peachy colored. Do I have any other? Well, I do have a darker pink in there, but mainly all of the pinks and creams and whites are in this bin right here, that box. So that is what I choose from. And actually, I told you last week how this is a breath of fresh air for me, this color story, this color palette. And those are actually the colors that I choose most often when it comes to the nightgowns and dressing gowns that I get for myself. And I really don't go seasonal when it comes to dressing gowns or anything like that. So that's why it's like, that's what you see in there. But of course there are different styles and whatnot. And so just, you know, switching things out makes things nice and fun, and also just gives me a little something to look forward to. So those were the different things that I typically look for when it comes to my dressing gowns, especially because I want them to be something that I can wear around the house as well. And the full skirts, the full, you know, length, that is also something that I'm very drawn to. Now this one is a midi, this piece that I was so inspired by, but that's more of like, you know, the occasional wear that I would be wearing something like that. But more often than not, it's the long floor length ones those are my go-tos, and I don't know why this one is over on this side. I do like to organize it by color most of the time. So anyway, I really hope that this inspired you in some way, and if you have been trying to up your game when it comes to nightwear, please let me know that in the comments below. And where do you find your favorite pieces if you found them? This is how Ayla works. This is, you know, a lot of work going on right now, but it's all beautiful.